This is the Bear Country Outdoors Barely a Podcast. I'm your host, Doug Joyce, and with me is James Forsland and Kris Cantrell. Thanks for joining. All right, everybody, we are back doing another podcast. It's been a couple weeks since we got together, but we want to do a little recap on what's happened so far this spring. We went on a bear hunt over on the Quinault Indian Reservation, and it just so happens that Kris went over there again.
Mm-hmm.
But
just got back hours ago.
Kris is already mad that I brought that up first thing.
Just crack a beer there, Doug. Thanks, buddy. Bringing that up. One's still fresh.
Hurt your feelings. I'm sorry.
Let's touch on. I know we did a podcast in the trailer, but let's kind of recap.
Yeah, we were a little tuned up. Too,
your guys' hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the hunt in general.
It was a great hunt because you saw bears. You saw
I did. Yeah.
You saw two
Kris
bears.
actually saw more bears than everyone at bear camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I saw
two.
I saw three, and then my dad.
Oh, yeah.
I told
You
my
did.
dad.
But both of them died.
Yeah. I got both of them on camera, which
Yeah.
that's a work in progress.
Yep.
And we just watched my first rough cut. It wasn't too bad.
It looked pretty good. I'm pretty excited.
I'm not gonna lie. I really enjoy when you come over with that and text me the link, and then we sit in the theater behind said deer wall here, and we just sit there and have a beer and watch it on the big screen.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little private viewing.
It gets you excited, because you get to watch it at the end of the day, and you're just like, this is going to be cool.
You feel like you get a little bit of satisfaction after 24 hours of straight editing, basically.
And it's super loud, too, so you can really pick apart.
And kudos to Doug, because he has way more patience than I do. I don't have that much patience.
I don't know
with a task
to
sit there for that long.
Granted, it wasn't
tedious.
24 hours straight, guys, but
Yeah.
it was a lot.
Yeah.
Do you just go until you get mind numbing and you're just
Pretty
like,
much.
I'm done?
I mean, I think
Done.
I put half of it together in one sitting,
Yeah.
and that was probably 8 hours.
Do you just sit down in the living room and
I just
Cassie's
sit at
just
the
sitting there
computer.
watching
Yeah.
Netflix? And
I
you're
usually,
she's like, why are you ignoring me? You're like, I'm busy right now.
Pretty much. I put my headphones on and I zone out. But I mean, that's the only way I can concentrate is if I actually sit down with a dedicated amount of time and not be completely brain fried after work.
Right.
Huh? It's coming together. Pretty excited.
Yeah, it's looking good. It's
Yeah.
going to turn out really good.
Yeah.
Doug's got it pretty dialed.
And we got a new camera coming
along
too, which I'm excited about.
Yeah. My dad got another camera.
Thanks,
that
Dad.
I'm going to be using for our hunts. It's got 125 times optical zoom.
I like that your dad buys all this fancy camera
Right?
equipment that we get to use sometimes.
Well, the funny thing was, he comes over for Father's Day and he smoked a pork shoulder, and he shows me it, and I'm like, really, Dad? Now you got, I don't know, I think he's got 5 cameras now. He's got a problem. But anyway, I'm like, what are you doing with this? He's like, oh, this is your new camera. I'm like, what do you mean it's my new camera? He's like, yeah, you're going to be using this. I'm like, I didn't buy it. You bought it. What are you talking about?
I like it.
And he pulls it out. I'm like,
Thanks a
holy
lot,
hell.
Uncle
He's
Walt.
like, this thing's got 125 times optical zoom. I'm like, no way.
Yeah, because what's the other one that we're using? It's a professional Canon, right?
It's 20 times.
Yeah, it's 20 times zoom, and it's still pretty nice.
Yeah.
When that came
Yeah.
around, we were like, man, this
Yeah.
is nice.
Yeah. That was the most I had seen. And then he goes and finds this wonder beast. And I'm like, whoa.
There's a bunch of cameras that have good optic or zooms, right? But
Yeah.
they
They're
lose
digital zoom.
Yeah, they lose so much of their quality.
It's the digital zoom is where you lose the quality. The optical zoom is all lens, and the digital zoom is in the camera.
right.
That 200-yard shot you were showing me, I mean, it was
Crystal clear.
dude.
Yeah, I know.
And it was tight.
Right there.
Picture was tight. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get some cool footage with
excited
that for
for
sure.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool.
Which is going to tie in well.
And think about it. So it is a 24 to 3,000 millimeter. So a professional lens, a big one, they're only 600. So think about
What
that.
brand is it?
It's a Nikon.
Nikon. Nice. Well,
Nice.
It's gonna be pretty cool.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
I mean, I was standing.
I mean,
I was
Doug
standing
using
on.
it.
I was standing on my back porch, in my house, and I can kind of see the hillside where Tulalip is. and I was able to zoom in all the way, and I could literally see cars
Really?
at Tulalip from Lake Stevens.
Wow. That's impressive.
Okay.
This is miles away.
Okay. So we can see the moon.
Yeah, it's literally has a moon setting on it.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's going to be really exciting for those long shots, or it's going to be like mind blowing, like how cool it's going to look.
So maybe if you're watching Bear Country and you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, which you should be.
Yeah, you'll see You're going to see some really cool kill
quality
shots
kill
eventually.
shots and
Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
like and subscribe if you.
The better our stuff gets, the better the quality and content it gets.
Which I'm gonna skip over a couple things. Can I skip over a couple things?
You
Sure.
can do whatever you want,
This
Chris.
is
I feel like
This
this
is
freelance.
barely a podcast. We do what we want.
I feel like that's gonna tie in really nicely with what we got going on. It hasn't happened yet, but we have a super cool YouTube series coming up with our rifle builds.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, cool story, Chris.
In collaboration with about a half a dozen companies.
Dude, we got so many good. So we're gonna build some long range rifles.
Well, Chris is.
I'm gonna build some long range rifles.
Let's be honest here.
Let's be honest.
Chris is building them.
So I'm gonna build
For
some
us.
guns for us. So I'm building 3 rifles. Now, this is gonna be so good. Today in the mail, we got a box with 3 MDT 126 chassis.
You.
Which are badass.
They're super badass.
Yeah, they're folders.
So
I was a little skeptical at first at the look of it, but you know what? After holding it,
Dude, they're
that's
legit.
it's gonna be sick.
Yeah.
100%.
So I when they first came out, I built a gun. We called it the CMR, the Compact Mountain Rifle, and it was like I built a 6.5 PRC and a 20-inch barrel in that chassis, carbon fiber barrel, ultralight action, the whole deal, right? And it shot freaking lights out. I mean, and it was so light,
It's very light.
super light. So we either put a big brake on or we put a can on it, right? So for us, we're going to be running brakes for now.
Maybe brakes and cans.
Maybe brakes and cans. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
we'll probably all give in. I want a can.
Yeah, I love the cans. So the first, we're doing 2 build series. The first build is going to be long actions. They are going to be with starting from the ground up. We're going to go MDT 126 chassis. Speaking of, we just partnered with MDT. Thank you, MDT. Super excited to use those chassis. If you haven't seen them, check out MDT's website and look at the specs. They're freaking unreal. If you haven't touched one and you're in the Western Washington area, you want to come to the shop.
To Cantrell Outdoors.
Come into Cantrell Outdoors. I'll show you. I got a couple custom builds that are waiting for guys who need a gun for rifle season. Then we have actually a box just sitting out of frame here with Timney triggers. I've ran Timney triggers in the shop for the last 13 years. They're fantastic, bulletproof triggers. Back down, we are running the MDT magazines as well, so they make their own magazines for the 300 PRC because that's what the calibers are going to be in.
Yep.
And they are magazines are finicky, right?
Yeah.
A lot of guys who run mags will tell you like, man, I need a AICS, or I need an AW mag, or I need this, and I need polymer, I need steel, and I got to bend the lips, and I got to do this, and I haven't had a single problem with them, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And this is coming from me running their stuff for years, and also having stuff come in the shop, and me or old gunsmith Cliff having to fix stuff, right? Which we will get on the podcast. I will force him to do it someday when he submits because he's 3 times my size.
I can't sit next to him. I'm going to look like a midget.
I can't make him do anything. He's got banana hands. Great guy, though. Gunsmith Cliff. Moving up, we got the carbon fiber benchmark barrels, which I'm excited about. They're 5 minutes down the road.
Yep.
Right. So all this stuff is very local. So MDT is they're Chilliwack, Canada, but they used to have their U.S. base just like 45 minutes north of us.
Yeah.
It's over in Idaho now. We're not going to fault them for that. Washington sucks for owning a gun company.
Or for running a business in general.
For running a business in general. And that's why I'm still doing it because I'm super stubborn. And I'm going to fight them till the day I die. But moving back, we have the American Rifle Co. lightweight coup de grace.
Actions.
And
Yeah,
those are the bee's knees.
I kept calling them the Hybrid Hunter. I don't know what they're calling them on the website.
I think they're calling them the coup de grace lightweight action.
Lightweight action.
Yeah.
Or the lightweight hunter action.
Lightweight
No, I
hunter.
don't think it's the lightweight hunter. I'll look it up. You keep talking.
You Google that.
The coup de grace is an
Super
awesome
cool.
name,
Yeah, I like that.
I got to have a lot of input with that with Ted and John, which felt really good. Just being, I'm not a very big shop, so being local and being able to talk to them and give them feedback and input on it, and then see it come to life was pretty exciting for me personally. And really excited that Bear Country gets to partner with them to build these freaking awesome guns. Because, like I said, we're going to do a long action and we're going to do a short action build. The short actions will be later in the year.
And that's just the start.
It's going to be, and it's going to be really incredible. I mean, I feel like I build nice guns, and I feel like when you start with the quality of components that we have right now, it makes it so much easier to shoot.
Which is so mind-boggling that we're this fortunate to be able to work with these companies. That
They're
have
incredible companies.
Awesome products.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about, like, there's lots of guys that partner with gun companies like Browning or Weatherby or something like that.
Yeah.
But we're partnering with a collaboration of the best brands basically in the long range shooting
To
and
put together
hunting world.
the best rifle.
To put together the best possible rifle that money can buy. Basically, am I wrong?
No, I mean,
Hopefully after this gun series, Kris, you're going to have people calling you left and right.
it's hopefully not too much, but yes. Yes.
We're
pretty
have
busy.
to hire more people.
Yeah. And then we're gonna top everything off with obviously the Leupold scopes, and I am as most people know, I'm a big Leupold guy. It's not just their products; it's like the people that we deal with are incredible. Mm-hmm. Their warranties when I've had problems are incredible.
Customer service is great.
Customer service is freaking knocking out of the park, and that goes a long way with me, because you can call somebody and say, "Hey, Doug, I got a problem," and Doug goes, "I got your back. What's going on?" You know, and that's how I feel it is. And there's a lot of really big companies out there, but there's not a lot of big companies that you can call and be like, "Hey, Leupold in Beaverton, Oregon, which is a couple hours south of our shop right now, or where we're sitting in this, and they'll be like, "Yeah, we'll take care of you. We'll ship it out. You guys want to come down? You guys want whatever? Like we'll make it happen." So, it's gonna be pretty exciting. I'm really excited to build the guns. I'm really excited to shoot the guns. I think there's a couple different companies that have come out with like this style of rifle with these style of components, but I feel like with us putting together and going out and the hunts that we have planned this year, it's gonna be pretty.
It's gonna be epic.
It's gonna be pretty rad. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
The thing that I really like about those chassis is, well, for one, they're super lightweight, but they don't feel awkward in your hand when you hold it. Mm-mm. Like it feels very natural, and I like the option of being able to have the folder too. So when you're packing in somewhere, or if you're crawling through a bunch of brush and you don't want your butt of your gun sticking up, like if you're putting it in your pack or something like that, like we run, scabbard sometimes in some of our packs, and then you have the butt of your gun sticking up.
Yeah.
Right. But if you have that folder, boom, you can put that thing flush, and you can be creeping
that way
through.
When you're creeping through a bunch of brush, you're not catching your gun stock on a bunch of stuff.
I was literally
always a pain in the ass.
I was thinking that yesterday. I was sneaking into that blind, right? And I'm walking the road, and the trees come over that one part of the road, and you know how well I bend because I'm all metal, right? So I'm like trying to get under there, and I got my rifle sticking out of my pack, and it's like
catching on every
and
branch
it's loud
and
as shit,
up.
man.
Yeah.
It's just, and I'm like, well, there goes everything.
Well, that's why Kris didn't get a barrel.
Yeah, that's why I didn't get a barrel. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So I think being able to cut 8-10 inches off your gun, and then and it's a nice folder.
It's not a chintzy folder.
It's extremely rigid too. Like,
when you lock it in, there is no play whatsoever. It's like as solid as a solid stock.
Yeah.
which good job MDT on that, because that probably took some innovation.
The nice thing is
tight.
I've shot it a bunch. I built a ton of guns off of it already, short action and long action, and like it just performs really well. It's super nice to shoot. Like it's almost like I'm not a scientist, but the harmonic dampening of the carbon fiber and like just the materials they have in there, like when you shoot it, it's not, there's no twang or anything like that. Like it shoots.
The vibration is
Yeah.
very little.
Yeah, and it just shoots really nice. And I think with a good break or a good can, like it's very soft shooting, very easy shooting gun. So yeah,
I'm excited.
It's going to be a good. Sorry, got off on a tangent there. Back to the bear hunt.
So now that we talked about that a little bit, let's recap on the spring hunt a little bit.
Yeah.
Because obviously Kris had multiple sits after a very
Holy
specific
shit.
bear that
Man,
I think all of us, me, Matt, and you all tried to get that same bear.
Yeah.
And you were the one that spent the most time going after that specific bear. And we're not talking about it's not just any bear. It's not a nice bear. It's like a legendary.
It's like a 500-pound black bear.
It's like a 500-pound bear.
and to people listening right now
In Washington.
yeah, and to people listening going, bullshit.
Yeah,
like
100%.
like I am the guy.
This thing had been eating pie filling for like 3 months. I mean, it was the blueberry pie filling bear.
Like a legit 7-foot bear.
It was
Nose to tail.
it was it was the biggest bear I've ever seen. Not personally, because I never saw it. Otherwise, I'd have put a hole in it. 100%.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot for me to pass on an animal, period. Doesn't matter what it is. Deer, elk, bear, doesn't matter. But to go in and
Dude, you went casino mode. You were gambling
Huge.
everything.
Yeah.
On,
You put everything on black for sure.
Yeah,
I-
you were going after this bear and that bear only.
yeah, so
You put everything on black and it rolled red every time.
I passed on first day. I passed on a pretty decent bear.
A pretty decent bear. Yeah,
Pretty decent
I
bear.
would have shot it.
Yeah,
Probably.
I mean it was a pretty decent bear, but when you know that, I mean, I don't know if it was a state record, but it was that big.
It was Boone and Crockett for sure.
Oh, all day.
Yeah.
I mean, and when people say, "Oh, really, Kris, a 500-pound bear?" I've shot enough bears.
It was so big and round.
And
Oh my
Doug
gosh.
and I have shot enough bears and seen enough bears to know. And don't get me wrong, like I'll shoot a bear and walk up and be like, "Oh, that's not, oops, that's not a very big bear."
Yeah.
But when you get to analyze one on the camera next to a 55-gallon drum, and it's
6 inches higher than the
massively bigger, and its
least.
midsection
On
is
all fours,
massively
yeah.
bigger
On all
around
fours, yeah.
than a 55-gallon drum, and it's 1.5 times the length of a 55-gallon drum. I mean, it's a big. I mean, it was a big bear. You know?
Like that one picture in the nighttime where it was standing on top of it.
Yeah,
like that.
and it's like
He's just like stretched out, like
Stretched out.
just kind of
forearms,
just standing there with like his arms bent like this, like
Yeah.
he's just hanging out.
like
Yeah.
his boy bits are like at the top of the barrel, and you're just like,
Yep,
that's really big.
that's a big bear.
That's a big bear.
Dude, it got me excited. So me and Kris had multiple conversations in
Oh,
between
shit.
the last 2 days that I was there.
Yeah,
And then Kris stayed for another night or two after that.
two.
Chris was there almost a whole week.
So I stayed for a couple extra days after I shot my bear to try to film Kris shooting this massive bear, because
Yeah.
we were like we were excited.
Everyone
I
was
was so
all in
excited.
on that one.
I was so excited.
And we knew, like, could Kris have gone and shot lots of other bears the whole time?
Yeah,
We could have
yeah.
went and had our pick of all the other baits, because we were the last, or Kris was the last one there.
Yeah.
But there was nothing. There was. Remember the other bear that we sat all day
Yeah,
on too?
yeah.
That was a really big bear too.
yeah, that was a big bear.
That was almost as big as the one that we
Yeah.
were after.
That was a 400 and change pound.
Yep, that was another
6.5
400
plus foot bear. It was a big bear.
And that one, we gave an entire day to that one too, and then that bear never came back.
Yeah.
It never came back. It was weird.
I think he was rutting early. I think he was moving through.
Yeah, I think he was just moving through.
after sows.
Yeah, and that could have been what happened with the big one, that he might have got on, got a little ruddy and just moved on and been out chasing sows. And
this, I was thinking about this. The later pictures of him, he did look a little leaned out.
Didn't he? Yeah,
did.
like the
Hiking a
most
lot.
recent ones.
Yeah, like
Yep.
just motoring in the mode, like a ruddy buck. How much weight they lose? Like you could tell.
It was from
His
the
stomach.
pictures when we were there
Yeah,
to like this last hunt that you went on.
yeah,
He had lost some weight.
yeah. In like 3-4 weeks, he lost
Yeah.
a fair amount of weight.
And he shouldn't have been losing any weight because he's eating all this
Yeah,
junk food, basically.
yeah.
Unless he ate all the pie filling.
unless they quit feeding him or something. He's like, dang it, I got
It
to
was
go
like
back to regular
buckets
food.
of blueberry pie filling. So you could only imagine like how delicious he probably is.
Oh, man.
I wanted to shoot him so bad.
Yeah. It's very admirable that you chase that bear for that long and put that much effort into it. And you can only do
Yeah.
what you can do. And if you're going to go all in, sometimes you
So we went
got to be willing to walk
the first
away.
trip. I was the only one who didn't shoot a bear, right? Because I was after that bear, and I passed on a couple bears, and I was like, hey, the thing is, I've never had the opportunity to shoot a bear of that caliber, right? Usually, I'm the guy who's yanking triggers on everything. Doesn't matter. So, fast forward to this Monday, and my wife, my daughter, and my mother-in-law, who live on property, went to Arizona. And last minute, I decided, you know what? They're gone. I'm going to see. I call Sam, and I'm like, hey, dude, can I come hunt that bear? He's like, dude, I'll meet you there. And so he runs up, and I, last minute, booked the only cabin / hotel / motel left in the entire state, it feels like, over there, because I didn't want to bring the trailer.
Yeah.
So
Should have roughed it like Sam.
it's like,
Sleep
yeah,
in the back of the
I
truck,
thought
dude.
about it. I should have. I'd have been better off because I paid a fortune to stay in this place. Yeah, I know. I should have. I was there long enough anyways. It didn't matter.
Right?
Yeah.
So I go ripping over there. I had an appointment down south anyway. So I go. I had to pull a key box and pick up a sign, and I throw it in the truck, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And so we go over there, and we show up, and I'm in my work clothes, my city clothes, right? And Sam's like, all right, and you got that climber? And I literally pulled a box out of the back of my truck. It's in the Amazon box that showed up, and haven't even opened it yet. Sam's like, oh. And so
Let's
I
put it
just
together.
hand him this giant tree stand box, and he's like, I'll put it together. And so he opens it up, and he
Yeah.
starts putting it together. I have no idea. I've never even used a climber before. And so we go down to the big bear bait, and he's like, this is your tree you'll climb. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I watched a video on the way over.
Yeah.
So
How to do this.
here I go. So up the tree I go, and sat there, I think, for 6 hours, and nothing. First night. I sit till like past 10 o'clock.
We
10,
had
10.
a lot of that on that bait.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm straining, nothing.
Yeah.
So I go down.
Is it that close one that we saw?
Yeah,
Is
super
that
close.
Same one.
Me and Doug spent some time there as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So I'm in a tree now. So I'm climbing up the tree, but I'm way back, right?
The one
Not
where
way
it's
back,
like
but
the highway for the bear, right to the bait, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there's like nothing to look at the entire time
Yeah.
except for a barrel and bushes.
Yeah.
Right there in front of your face.
So then I go to my Taj Mahal that I rented, go to bed, wake up a couple hours later, get up, go back to the same place, sit there for like 10 and a half, 11 hours the next day, all day.
How many naps did you take?
Not as many as you thought I would, because I was a little more worried about falling out of the stand that day.
The new stand.
Yeah. Although in the last hour, I had bought a gallon jug of water from the little store next to my hut that I rented, and dumped water out and used it as a pee jug, right? Because I'm up in East Jesus, right? I don't want peeing out of the stand. And it's like there's an hour left. It's like 9:15 or something, and I go to like adjust my feet because my legs are crossed, and I kind of lean over, and my love handle hits the pee jug and knocks it 20 feet down to the earth and explodes on the ground. So now all the pee I've saved all day for the last 10 hours just exploded in a scent bomb on the ground in peak hunting time. And I'm just like, you have got to be shit. And when it hit the
You didn't
ground,
tell me about this part.
when it hit the ground, it sounded like a bomb went off. I mean, the sun's down, so there's no wind. And I mean,
P-bomb.
just a plastic, like the shitty white gallon jugs
Yeah.
do.
What
And
time was this?
like past 9. I mean, I had like an hour left, It's like peak.
It's peak time.
It's peak,
It's
you know?
like right at like
Yeah,
an
dark.
explosion of pea jugs.
Yeah, because it's like dark at like 10, Like
Yeah.
I can't see anything at 10.
Yeah.
So I'm like, here we go. So that explodes, and I'm sitting there, and I pout for 45 minutes. Nothing comes in. I'm just sitting there, and I'm staring at, like, I got a video I'll show you. It's fucking embarrassing. It's just,
pea jug.
and it landed like this, upside down, too. Just, and it was like, I mean, it was so loud. When
And
it
then
hit.
like
and then the funny thing about you saying that, how you're like trying to keep it all like in a jug, and then come to find out that the guides would peeing at the baits like, the whole time, just to get the bears used to it.
Yeah.
And it was a solid half gallon of pee. All of that. I mean, it was 4 pounds of pee. I mean, I'd been there all day.
Yeah.
So, long story short, and then I got to climb down this tree, and I get back and go back, and Sam, the guy, called. He goes, "How'd you do?" I said, "I didn't do." And he goes, "Well, you want to do it? You want to do it tomorrow?" And I said, "Yeah, I want to do it tomorrow." And now it's like 11 o'clock, and he goes, "What time?" And I go, I'll get up at 5, and we'll meet out on the highway, and we'll go. I go, there was 3 big bears 2 weeks before, and I go, well, let's go to a different spot where one of those other big bears is going. He goes, okay. So we go to this other spot, and I sat there for a couple hours this morning, and nothing. So swing and a miss. So 10 o'clock hits. I set my alarm, right? I'm like, hey, I got to leave at 10 because I got to hit the office on the way home. I got to hit Costco because I got to get ribeyes for the boys because we had a little barbecue.
Which was delicious.
It was good. It was really good. And then I had to make sure I got my chores done before my wife got home because she didn't know I was going bear hunting, and she's super pissed at me right now. So, long story short, didn't get a bear. Had a great time. Had a really, really good time. Hunted my ass off in a weird sense of
Not so much physically, but it's mentally
it's
draining.
horrible sitting when you have to sit.
The mental grind is probably just as hard as the physical.
Especially when
I
you're
think
in
it's harder.
when you're in a
For
tree
me.
stand and you're in the wide open. You have to sit perfectly still. I don't know if anyone listening has had to sit perfectly still for 10.5 hours and then try to pee in a 1-gallon jug. And hopefully your aim's good enough, where you don't like pee on your pants and then something's gonna smell it, and then like the whole thing. It's
a total disaster.
Well,
when
and
you
you're
have
trying to
try
stay
and pee.
alert and like,
yeah.
Stay in the game and stay positive and nothing's happening
and not fall out of it.
And not fall out and don't die.
I have a horrible problem of falling asleep when I'm sitting.
Oh, I know you do, Doug.
So there was one time I was sitting in the tree stand. I forgot my harness that one day, and I fell asleep, and I woke up like rolling forward, and I woke myself up, and I was like, "Oh boy, I'm awake."
Yeah, you're like your heart starts beating in your chest, like, oh man, I almost died.
And I think what woke me up is like I was dreaming that I was sitting in the stand.
Yeah.
And that started to happen, and that's what woke me up. And then I was like, what just happened?
You're like, that wasn't good.
We're not doing that again. I stayed awake.
Doug almost died.
Yeah.
I've
Almost fell
fallen
20 feet
asleep
to the
in a
ground.
tree stand with a harness on and like fallen forward and then had the harness go coop and catch me because I would
really?
put it
all
tight
the
enough.
time. All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, every time I would sit up there and fall asleep with the harness on, I would always fall asleep.
I'm not the guy who's going to give myself 6 feet of slack on
No,
the
you
harness.
put it up high enough
I
to
put
where
it to
you
where
lean
you-
over,
yeah.
it catches you immediately. Yeah,
Right, 'cause if you fall
100%.
asleep-
I don't have to worry about that. So
Because you're in like a lounger, right?
well, I'm kind of in a lounger a little bit, right? So I'm leaned back, but since my whole spinal cord is titanium, that I can't lean forward, right? So I can't fall out of the tree stand, right?
Knock on wood.
And every side that I go to, I got metal on each side. So as soon as I hit the metal on the other side, it goes, zzz, oh, geez, I'm awake, So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty. It's like playing like the operation game. Yeah, I'm never falling out of a tree stand.
That
Knock
sounds
on wood.
great.
It's great. Do it.
Do it.
Do it. Crush your
You
spinal
too
cord.
can sit in a tree stand for 10 hours
Yeah,
with pee jugs.
it's
Yeah.
great.
So,
So, long story short, had
3
a-
bears out of 4 on
yeah,
the trip.
3 bears out of 4. I had the opportunity to shoot smaller bears. I did not. I passed because I was going for the gusto, and I honestly think that it was if it wasn't the state record, it was awful close. I would say it was top 3. I mean, it was that big of a bear.
yeah, it was a.
It was
got,
massive.
It got all of us so excited.
Yeah.
It was massive.
Yeah.
I've seen a ton of pictures of bears. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of bears and shot a lot of them, and that bear got me excited. Really,
It was huge.
immediately. As soon
Yeah.
as we saw pictures of it, I was
Yeah.
like, "That is a bear worth trying to
Pursuing.
pursue."
Yeah, when you can,
100%.
I think when you can see, there's a lot of trickery in photographs, right? So like later this year when I take my dad to Africa, we're gonna take some pictures and stuff, and because I'm definitely shooting shit there,
Yep.
and you're gonna see these things and go, "Oh my god, I didn't know they were that big. It looks so massive," and it's like they're not that big. It's because you got to sit way behind it and you don't touch it and keep your hands off. But when you got a 55-gallon drum where you know exactly how big this thing is, and you have something perfectly, profiled right next to it, and you go, oh, this barrel is X amount high and X amount wide, and this if you picked up the barrel and articulate it to cover the bear, you need multiple barrels to cover the bear, and you're like, oh shit, that's a big bear.
It's a very big bear.
That's a big bear.
And to touch on that really quick, I don't know if we've ever said this, but when in our videos, I don't feel like we ever try to like trickery make the animals look bigger. We're usually just like, here's the animal, here's us grabbing it.
Let's be honest, Jim. I don't think I'm skilled enough yet to be able to do that kind of trickery. We've been trying, but we do stuff and you can only do so much with it. you know?
Right.
It's funny that you
There's a
mentioned
lot of
that.
people that are like, they'll only take a camera shot if they're sitting way far behind it and they're like making the animal look huge, right?
Well, part of the problem is not for you, but for Doug and I.
We gotta sit like 20 feet behind the thing.
so,
Because
so to preface this, Doug and I are the size of NFL players, like the big ones.
Legit. Yeah.
Like I'm 6'4", 280. Doug's 6'4", probably a couple more pounds than that. We're giant. He's just big. He's just a big guy.
Yeah.
We're big people. And so when we shoot something and we take a picture, it's like,
it looks tiny.
oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
And I am the size of the kick returner
And James
in college football.
James is a normal sized person, so he looks normal when he takes pictures, But Doug and I have the problem of like we're just big guys,
So
It's hard to-
everything
yeah.
we put our hands on looks small.
Yeah. I had this conversation with Joey Pyburn the other day because Joey went up to Southeast Alaska and shot a freaking smasher of a bear. If you guys don't know who Joey is, you should follow him on the Instas. He's the co-host of the Outdoor Lane on ESPN Radio. He's an awesome guy. He was on our podcast.
And they are fishing the shit out of stuff.
Yeah, and the
Big time
guy's
fisherman, yeah.
he's a fishing, hunting machine. Absolute machine. And he shot a freaking huge bear. Him and his buddy James Pecker went up there and shot these two pigs. And so when he sent me the picture, and it's on, and he posted the same picture
It's on his Instagram.
on his Insta,
Joey
and
Piper.
he's literally sitting on it. He's riding it like a horse. That's how big this bear is.
The head on that thing was insane.
And I go, and I'm like, the picture could have been so much better. Because the bear was so big, it could have looked so much
and
even.
it was like kind of down in a hole.
Yeah,
behind
and
a
you could
tree.
see
Yeah.
if you pay attention to the bottom right, you could see how long the legs were and how far back it went. And literally, he's sitting
legs
on
go
top
out
of
of
it,
picture.
Yes, and he's straddling this bear, sitting across the back of it. And I go, dude, why'd you take the picture like that? And he goes, I am so sick of people saying, "Oh, you sat way back.
Yeah.
You did this to make
No,
it
I
look
was
bigger."
I was thinking that too.
You
I was
know,
like,
and he goes, I am so sick of that shit. So I was just like, I'm just going to sit right on top of it. And I was like, and Joey's not a small guy, know? And he's sitting on top of this bear, and I'm going, holy shit, that's a big bear. Like, good for him. And James shot a, dude,
The one I got? No,
Yeah.
it wasn't as big as
Yeah.
Joey's, but
Anyway,
it was a damn good bear.
Remember did you see the other picture of the guy from the winery?
Oh,
James.
yeah.
The other James.
The other James, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, he shot one that looked like
Dude, it was a dandy.
It looked like it walked out of a Twinkie factory.
Yeah, dude, it was so fat.
Dude, it was
For a
so
spring bear,
fat.
Yeah.
It was so fat.
Yeah.
It had like rolls right behind its ears.
Yeah, that was a dandy.
Yeah, that was a big bear.
Dandy. Maybe next year. I'd like to do that hunt.
Yeah, strong work, gents.
Good job, guys.
I'll be up there this fall.
You know,
mowing down on something.
You
up
got to
there
put
the
in. You got to
springtime
put
to do
in
that
draw tags for that, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of draws,
Speaking of draws, let's talk about that, James.
so we just had
the Washington tags.
draws came
Yeah.
out, right?
Washington State.
And we got some really, really, really exciting news for all you folks. Guess what?
Drum roll, please.
And we all drew 0 tags,
Jack shit.
Yep.
Other than I drew a multi-season elk tag.
which is pretty damn good.
Pretty damn good,
which
yeah.
I'll take that.
I had 5 points, and I drew a second deer tag for a doe on Whidbey Island.
On 100% draw. Actually, there's more than 100%. Can there be more than?
And I had
100% draw?
5 years of. Points. So here's a fun fact. So I have pretty close to 20 years of putting in for everything, right, across the board. Never been drawn for a buck tag, quality deer tag, quality bull elk, any of that. No moose, no
oil
goat,
tags.
no sheep, no oil tags. Once in a lifetime.
Yep, that's me too.
Now I have this thing called the internets, which is a fantastic tool, and I start seeing guys post, "Oh my gosh, I just got drawn. I only had 3 points, and I just got drawn for like these incredible either once in a lifetime tags or super good quality tags, quality
Right.
bull tags, quality buck tags." And I'm just like with 3 and 4 points, and I'm just like, what is this state doing?
Right. It's
Very interesting. How
Because
it
why
their
does it-
system is kind of
Yeah, why do they have a point system
right?
if it doesn't work as a point system?
It just doesn't.
Right?
It doesn't work.
Because if you have 3 and 4 points, you should not be getting drawn.
You shouldn't if there's everyone else has 20 points.
Yeah.
You know, I think this is now hear me out on this, right?
Buckle
if I
up.
was
Here
to
we
make
go.
a better system for Washington,
Yeah.
first of all, I would do what other states do, like Idaho, and I would allot only a small portion, a very small portion of oil tags or quality tags for non-residents. We're talking 10%, maybe 10%. So we're talking like 1 out of 10 tags, or I'd say even 1 out of 20 tags.
So how many oil tags are allotted for non-residents in Washington?
There is, as far as I know, there's no system in place. So anyone can put in for them, right?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
It's all the same pool. So we don't have
you caught me off guard.
we don't
on
have
this
an
one.
allocation for non-residents.
If someone knows this, please send us some hate mail on the internets like everyone else does.
it's all in the same pool.
Okay.
I'm like 99% sure.
Okay.
So we have nothing in place for that. So that means that non-residents can put in for and get these tags that the residents can't seem to draw
ever.
And number 2, what I would do is they should have categories of tags. So I'd say maybe 50% of the remaining tags or say 50% of the tags would go to the top tier point system people. You know, people that are between 15 and 25 points or whatever.
Right.
That gets you 50% of the tags. Then you drop it down and say maybe 25% of the next tags would go between 5 and 10 points. And then maybe another 25% goes to, you know, the 1 to 5 points. That way it makes it a little bit more fair for the people that have been putting in for decades, that are getting older, that have just been disappointed year after year.
And then come to find out, you know, those older guys that literally can not do it by themselves anymore just so happen to get draw
That's usually what
out of a
happens.
whim, and then it's just like, really? Like,
There's so many old guys
I'm
that are
so
like,
out of your prime that you literally can't even do it by yourself.
either they have to quit putting in because they get to a physical point where they can't do it,
Yeah.
or they get drawn and they're like, how in the hell am I going to do this? Because I'm so old and out of shape. I have to have help.
Yeah.
You know, and some guys I believe some guys just eat their tags, these once in a lifetime tags, because they literally can't do it.
They can't do it.
And so I would like to see a better system in place.
It definitely needs to
There's
be
no way
worked on.
that, like, me and Kris are in the same boat where we go 20 years, 2 decades of putting in for everything and never get drawn. I've drawn a cow tag in the Toodle with 8 points or whatever before it was a super sought after tag, and it was before hoof rot and all that. And then I drew a Clockham cow tag with like 6 points. And that's it. That's all I've ever drawn in this state. That's worth a damn.
Yeah, and that's not even like the
those aren't
highly set out.
Those
tags,
are everyone should be able to draw that every 3 years. You know,
Yeah.
you should be able to get a cow tag.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just so frustrating to have to do it and put in for
a
it.
weird system too.
The whole system's messed up. And then you put in for it, and it's supposed to be all automatic, so it's computer generated, right? And so you put in for it, and then it's immediately goes through and picks out the winners, right? But then for some reason, it takes almost a month to get any of those draw results to anybody. So it's just like just a wanky danky thing. I've always doubted the system. I've always wondered about if there's something shady going on, because I hear stories and rumors and whispers of people getting tags that, you know, consistently and all these weird things. And I don't know how much of that's true and how much of it's not, but it sure makes you wonder. And it also makes you wonder even more when an automatic system takes you a month.
About a lot of things, yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And I don't know. Kris, what do you think about that?
Joey Piburn just texted me, so I'm texting him back. I'm like, I'm doing a podcast. I can't talk to you right now. I'm just talking about you.
I'm talking about you while I'm texting you.
Did you just big league Joey Piburn?
No. No, I did not.
We were just talking about how it's just so disappointing to have to go through it every single year. Had this disappointment, and then you just know that each year we're losing more and more tags. So, like, well, you remember when we were younger and we're putting in for bull tags with like a 1 out of 5 chance. Mm-hmm. You know, now it's
1 out of 23.
Yeah, it's like maybe 1 out of 20. Now 1 out of 100, and then you know, like some of these bull units that we'd put in for had 100 bull tags when we were putting in when we were younger. Now they're down to like two tags.
The area that I put in for this year had 1 tag, and I think there was 2,500 people that put in for it.
Isn't that's nuts?
Yeah, so 1 out of 2,500 people gets drawn. Like, and that's
it's
why
it's become a lottery. Like you a quality tag is a lottery. It's a once in a lifetime.
Yeah,
your once in a lifetime quality deer tag, once in a lifetime quality bull tag.
Yeah,
and that's coupled on top of your once in a lifetime oil tags that you'll never get a chance at.
Yeah,
unless you're severely lucky. You know, and people get lucky. You know, Hartsock drew that ram tag with 6 points, I think.
I've heard a bunch of guys drawn with like 4, 5, 6 points.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
That's kind of like a sweet spot, is like 5, 6 points.
Maybe I should start putting Gloria in.
Yeah, you should. I know.
How do I get rid of all of my points?
Is there a way I can just
Can I
cash
go back
them
to
in?
6 points?
Yeah,
Can I cash in my points for money?
Yeah, no doubt. Can I get
all
so
my
I can
funds
get
back?
off of this not so fun carnival ride?
Speaking of, hopefully we have
imagine?
some super good news here once they come out with that decision from the lawsuit.
When is that supposed to happen, by the way?
We still got a couple weeks, I think. So I'll have to touch base with the guys at Sportsman's.
A lot of hokey dokey action going on with that whole thing.
It's so silly. Like, you know, like,
Are we kind of like in a lull with what's going on with the commission right now?
No, it's still a shithole.
we got a mission,
it's always a shithole.
Well, of course, we got a mission. We got a.
There's a meeting coming up here
in Vancouver, right?
Yeah, it's in Vancouver.
Yeah,
and it's going to be. I think it would be really good if we could get some bodies there and have in person and kind of have a big influence like we did back in the October meeting.
I know Gary Strasburg posted some stuff. He's sick, so he's not going to make it down. I'm going to be in Montana. I won't be there.
I'm probably not going to be there either. I'm going to try to sign up virtually. I got a lot going on right now that I'm taking
Dane just
care of.
graduated. Maybe he'll be there. He's got free time now.
Maybe.
Congrats, Dane.
Yeah. Congratulations, Dane.
Can you believe that?
Get
Like,
through.
Welcome,
he's
welcome
so
to
young.
the real world.
You know, I feel like this is he's going to appreciate this. I feel like we've kind of like had this life with Dane, right?
Yeah,
Right? We met him a couple years ago.
he's just a baby.
Yeah, he was just a young kid, and I think we met him at the Soul Seekers thing that they did, the fundraiser.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Remember?
Yeah.
And he was just this young kid who was really excited about hunting and really
Yeah.
excited to talk to people, and now he's just like, he's developed into this
well-spoken,
well-spoken,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
strong leader in the
Yeah.
hunting community, and he's very young still. I mean,
Dude, super young.
and we need more Danes. We need more Danes.
We
out
need
there.
a bunch. We need a bunch. Speaking of, this is funny. I had a long drive today, right? So I'm driving 4 hours back from the hunt, and I'm thinking about just random stuff. I don't know if you guys do this, but I make up these scenarios in my mind all the time when I don't have the radio on. And
all the time, dude.
Yeah.
My whole brain is functioning on hypotheticals.
So I was thinking about our podcast, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, now I'm doing the podcast with old Steven Ranella, right? Mm-hmm. As you guys know, I'm a big Steven Ranella fan.
So this is a hypothetical.
Just like I'm driving and I'm thinking about and I'm having this podcast with Steven, right?
You're in your head having a podcast
With Steven Ranella, yeah. And I'm sitting in there. I don't remember if Yanni was there. I think I was doing some. So Yanni does this long, elk call,
Yeah.
right? And I was thinking about it because when I was sitting there that morning on that hunt, it's in the middle of East Jesus. It's dead quiet. There's nothing. There's no sounds. There's nothing, right?
All you hear is birds chirping.
That's exactly right. And
So wait a minute. So your hypothetical
that's how it started, right?
conversation is going, right? But are you in your head? Are they talking to you,
So
or are you just talking to them about random?
So
shit?
let me, Ron Cantrell, build this up with this incredibly extra long story.
This is very fascinating to me.
Yeah. So this morning I'm sitting in the blind, and all I hear is, right, the birds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I do a really good bird call. Right. And then I'm thinking, Yanni does a long whistle elk call, something to the effect of, right.
Okay.
And I was thinking I could do that, on the podcast, but I don't think Yanni's got a bird, call like I got, right? And
Yeah.
we're going back and forth on the podcast, and I'm talking to Steven, and I go, and Steven goes, and we're sitting there because this is totally real and not made up in my mind, and he goes, so Kris, heard you got into it with my brother the other day on the internet. And I go, yeah, I did, Steven. And he goes, heard you called my brother a shit stain on the internet. And I go, yes, I did. And this is a factual thing. If you guys want to look it up, I did call his brother a shit stain.
Oh yeah.
So his brother is
hunt quietly.
Hunt quietly.
Yeah.
And I have such a disdain for these guys. So I did call them a shit stain. Was that appropriate? I don't care.
We don't care. That's how we roll.
And the fact was, the reason I called him a shit stain was he was calling out guys like Cameron Haynes and some of these bigger hunters about
hunter influencers.
hunter influencers
Yeah.
and they're doing this or they're doing that. And I was like, and I said, well, if you shit stains, would pay attention to what we're doing out here in Washington, because James and Doug and I are taking our time and our money and we're having to fight these commissions. I'm going down to the Supreme Court and having to deal with all of this nonsense, and we're putting on, James and Doug and I, we put on a fundraiser. We took so many hours and dollars and all this stuff to raise money, which we raised a shit ton of money, by the way, to fight against our commission. And then these guys are out here just having being Steven Ranella's brother, having a platform, right?
Right.
And then just being like, oh, these guys are
Keep
just
it to yourself.
Yeah,
we
keep
don't
it to
need
yourself.
any
We
to
don't-
recruit new
Yeah, we don't need
hunters.
any recruitment. And I'm just like, you guys suck so bad.
Mm-hmm.
They
They want to enjoy everything that a hunter gets to enjoy and keep it all to themselves.
yeah, and no struggle.
It's like a selfish thing, right?
It's so selfish.
and then while all these other people are out there, and yeah, maybe it's not all good. All the hunter influencer world is not all good for the hunting world,
Dude,
right?
it doesn't matter.
But
Doesn't matter.
when people are out there putting their best foot forward and they're fighting the good fight to keep your boots on the ground during hunting season, do you really go out there and just bitch and moan about how bad they are if you're not doing anything and they're out there putting in the work?
So my point was to him was, you have this platform. We're all hunters. Why in the world would you be talking shit and fighting against other hunters instead of coming out to Washington and talking shit about Lorna like I do all the time?
Right?
Like I went to the Supreme Court and I was, 6 inches away and 3 feet taller than Lorna. Because she's a tiny human being, but man, she can cause a lot of problems for being such a tiny human being.
Well, you should have wore your I Sued Lorna shirt, and maybe she wouldn't have caused such a fuss.
And
I would have wore it.
I thought about it. I was trying to be an upstanding citizen. I wore a nice.
You were trying to be professional, Chris.
I
I
feel
ya.
Yeah, I know. No, we all try to do professional
We
things
have
at
to,
the right time.
yeah, we have to keep that professional look.
Yeah.
We're
But
all human beings.
It's like, do I have the time to take? I have 3 jobs. I took the time away from my 3 jobs to drive down to Olympia, to be there, to do this stuff, to show up to the Supreme Court. Incredibly uncomfortable for me. I don't like doing that stuff, but I did it anyways. And I'm doing all these extra things, and you're doing all these extra things, and you're doing all these extra things, and then I got to see these guys on the internet sitting up in his comfy little internet chair in Alaska, bitching about everyone else, and I'm like, dude, what a shit stain.
At the same time, it's like you're complaining about all these other big name influencers, hunter influencers, right? Your brother is the biggest in the outdoor industry and has had the most effect on it probably in the last decade.
Doing incredible things, by the way.
And you're doing that, and it's like not take out of the fact that you don't like it, right? But you're throwing shade at what your brother's doing without directly doing it to him. It's just shitty.
It's the most,
And he was, and I'm gonna throw it out there too. He's throwing shade at Randy Newberg, who is doing more for the hunting community than anybody out there, as far as when it comes to conservation and fighting back.
And you don't mess with Randy Newberg. James will mess you up.
That's right. Randy, we're homies.
You and Randy are homies, bro. I honestly,
we're on a first name basis.
I like Randy. I honestly, as a human being,
yeah, he's a straight up dude.
He's a nice
100%.
guy. He's a good dude.
He's what you see is what you get. There's no fake shit.
He's a good dude.
100%.
And I feel like, we have all these great guys out there hustling in the hunting industry, and then you have shit stains that, if you put 1/10 of that effort towards fighting Washington State or the Colorado Game Commission or all these other people who are just messing hunting up for everybody. You don't want recruitment? Fantastic. Keep doing what you're doing. Guess what? There's going to be no hunting for anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Good
And
job.
Now everyone's going to be a poacher.
Yeah.
Good
Mission
job.
accomplished, dude.
Good job.
No one gets to hunt because you made sure, I shut down Cam Haines. Good for me.
Yeah.
As I repeat my previous statement on the internets, what a shit stain. So I'm not retracting that statement if you're wondering. So Steven, if you hear this sometime down the road after we become super famous,
maybe sometime.
I called your brother a shit stain and I'm holding to it.
Yeah. It doesn't change anything between us.
Yeah.
We still hold
That's
love
my
for you.
story, and I'm sticking to it.
I think you're a great guy. Went down, saw you at the theaters, and got all your books.
in shithole Tacoma.
We have
For
your
some reason, everyone wants to come and do something in Tacoma when that's like the worst place to do it.
dude. It's the worst.
I was
Do
having
it in
a
like
conversation
Everett. I
today
mean,
about
Everett's
that.
not much better, but you're gonna have a whole lot more people that show up. I guarantee you that.
Speaking of, I know a guy. Is it the Comcast Arena? What's it called now?
It's called the
Angel of the
Angel
Winds
of the
Arena.
Winds
Arena, yeah.
Okay, Steven, I know you're listening. Angel of the Winds Arena. I know a guy. You call me.
We'll just have to tag him in it.
I'll get you in.
Maybe he'll see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could get you to re-sign my
Doug,
cookbook.
we never put any of these into clips ever, so
know.
we're not taking them in anything.
We'll put in we're gonna do this. We're starting it right now.
Yeah.
We're
Right
just gonna-
now.
Doug needs to start pulling some clips that we can actually use.
I like
Take
that you
people-
guys are talking about this because I have no idea what that means. so
Oh,
you
gosh.
just do that.
That's your job, Jim.
I don't know how to do that, Doug. I don't do the camera stuff. You do that. I can just play stuff on my phone, okay?
and I'm the guy who doesn't pull the trigger. So come on,
Heyo.
Heyo.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. I feel like since you went so hard after a big bear in the spring, I feel like you're gonna have some good luck in the fall.
I'm
in that
super excited about my fall
Something's
hunts.
gonna happen.
I know we've talked about this before, but the guns that I build for us, we're gonna do some amazing things. Lola Marie, sorry, that's my wife's dog. She's gone right now.
Underbite.
August we have hopefully a bear hunt. Doug, I might sneak over with you for.
We're gonna do some bear hunting for sure. I guess.
Yeah.
Because I'm taking my dad to Africa end of August. When I get back, I'm going to Southeast Alaska for black bear. When I get back, I'm doing deer here. We'll see if I can squeeze in an elk hunt. But then we have Idaho deer, you and I, and then I have Montana.
Both of us.
Deer and
Montana,
elk.
Deer and elk. Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot going on.
Yeah.
So
And I'm planning on doing elk and deer in September because I got that multi-season tag.
Dude,
So, and
it's gonna be good.
I really want to shoot an elk this year because I
So
do not want to eat tag soup.
You're
on a
going.
multi-season
We
tag.
were just talking about this earlier. Me and Doug were talking about putting together a muzzleloader.
You could almost go. I could almost do like the beginning and end of
You could.
each.
Ooh, let's
Yeah.
talk muzzleloaders real quick.
So muzzleloader they just passed something here in Washington.
Yeah. So
That makes me very excited.
Loopold makes a sight called the RDS, the red dot sight.
Yep.
And it looks like a little scope, but it's zero magnification, which is legal now
On a muzzleloader.
on a muzzleloader.
Yep.
And you can have, there's two versions. There's a $299 version that's just like just a red dot, but then there's a $399 version that has a turret on the top with MOA.
Yep.
So we could build you a dope sheet for your muzzleloader, right? And you could shoot muzzleloader if you're good enough, which Doug is, at range. So, like, say for instance, if you saw an elk at 450 yards and you had a dope sheet,
450.
dude, I'd rip 450 all day, bro.
With some of the newest muzzleloaders,
yeah,
like
yeah.
the highest end
Yeah.
ones, you could
Yeah.
probably get out there. But
I mean, how we're probably gonna hunt, it most likely
We ain't
is
shooting
not
at
gonna be.
450.
That
Dude,
far.
200 definitely.
It's
you could
probably gonna be a 20, 30
Now-
yard shot.
Now to back
Hopefully.
that up,
Fingers crossed.
Gunworks made a muzzleloader that, and I remember when they first came out with it. It's based off of Remington 700 action, but anyways,
Yeah.
it's still a muzzleloader, and they took it out and they shot like an antelope at like 750 yards with a muzzleloader.
kidding.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
it was incredible.
That's crazy talk.
Yeah, you can fact check me. Maybe 746. I don't remember, but
I mean, anything over like 200 is like.
Dude, and with a
That's starting to
muzzleloader,
push
anything
it.
over 100 is impressive. Especially if you have no like magnification or
never-
anything.
yeah.
the very first elk I ever shot, it was a spike. It was right before football when I was going to Central, and it was 220 yards. And I remember I shot, and I could see this giant lob of lead, just and friggin' 10 ring this thing. Total like luck. I had a pretty good idea. I'd shot my muzzleloader a lot, but I'm like, I think it's about here, right? But I remember seeing
Was this open sights?
open sights, yeah. And like
That's what we call a Hail Mary, folks.
But this
Yeah.
thing, I don't remember. I'm
how
trying to
old,
remember
how
the.
old, you were young, right?
I was 18. Yeah.
Young and dumb.
Yeah, I was 18. I was just getting literally.
Full
I'm
of
going to play
fill in the
college
blank.
football. It's hot as shit, and so my dad shoots this thing, blows its like back leg off or something, and it comes cartwheeling, its legs spinning around. So I'm like, I got to shoot this thing, and I remember it comes into field of view, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, I know how far it is. I'm like click, 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 boom, and I send it, and you can see this. I mean, thumb-sized hunk of lead, just, woof, I mean, so slow, and it hits this thing and just knocks it over on the other side. I mean, literally, like, knock the elk over on the other side
Wow.
of the hill, and I was just like, this is awesome.
That's awesome.
This is so cool.
What kind of muzzleloader?
It was the one that's hanging on the wall over there with the elk hide on it. That's the elk that I shot. It's a old Hawkins.
Oh no!
Yeah,
What?
54
So
cal.
you're talking about lead ball?
Yeah, it was a slug. It was like a 568
Hawkins?
grain.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was a giant hunk of lead.
Was it a flintlock? You had to wait for the pan to burn off?
No, I had a number. I think it was 11 or whatever percussion I got on. Yeah, it was.
Okay,
It was
Jeremiah
awesome.
Johnson.
Did you have to make sure that you had to put some powder in your igniter there? You had to light the fuse on fire before you could pull the trigger.
I think. Can you see the sling hanging down on that side? I don't remember. On the beam. Look on the beam.
Oh yeah. No, I can't.
Right, it's like right there. No.
Yeah,
It's
you
up
keep
above.
talking about
It's
that.
up
I'll go
above.
grab it
Yeah.
to show people.
I don't know if you can reach that tall, James. I'm not trying to. That's not a height joke. It's just life's hard.
That's how I feel every single day.
So yeah, no, the old 54 cal muzzleloader. I did shoot that thing quite a bit, like quite a bit. I remember I could at like 80 yards. I mean, I bet you I could hit a Snapple cap at 80 yards. I mean, it was money. Like it was.
I mean, when you shoot something enough consistently,
it was so
you
accurate.
get such a good feel of how it shoots.
Yeah.
You know, it just comes with time and shooting it and practice. And
I mean, iron sights. I bet you it shot 2 MOA, like
that's crazy
consistently. Like it was.
for a muzzleloader.
It shot so well, super well.
Classic.
I'm not even gonna turn around and look what James was doing to my muzzle.
He went and got it.
I got it.
Dude, huh?
There it is, folks. Look at this thing, dude. It looks like an artifact. You sure this wasn't the one on Jeremiah Johnson that he found?
Dude, that thing is awesome.
What
So
was the name of that guy that he took his Hawken rifle?
I don't remember, but that's like an upgrade for Jeremiah Johnson.
so that I made that buttstock and that sling from that elk that I shot. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Look at that.
that's
Piece of history.
dude. That's
so you're gonna
legit.
take this back out again?
Yeah, hell yeah.
There it is, folks. That's
Yeah.
a genuine
Can
Hawken.
you put a modern style round?
Oh,
in that?
I would never bastardize that rifle with an optic.
No, I'm not saying with an optic, but can you put like the bullet style rounds in it that you can get?
Oh
for
yeah, like a
muzzle?
sabot or something. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah,
Chris could have broke that out.
yeah.
I'm surprised
Yep.
you didn't shoot.
Well,
your
if
deer
my
with
wife
that.
ever divorces me, ladies, you saw it here first. Take a number.
10 years later, Chris is just wearing like a grizzly bear bikini up in the mountains, running around.
I have one that my taxidermist made me, actually.
Dude, I barely fit in
It's
that.
a little tight. It's a little tight. I like that my taxidermist thinks that I'm the size that I am when I'm literally 100 pounds more than he is. And he's like, yeah, I tried it on. It fits good. I'm like,
You're like, we're not the same size, bro.
we're not even close to the same size, bro. You're like 6'1", 180. I'm 6'4", 280.
Yeah.
You're like,
This-
and it's a little tight in the crotchal region here.
Think about you put it on. It needs to fit two of you.
That was very sweet of him, though, to make me
It's pretty funny.
such a nice piece of stuff that I can't wear.
Yeah.
So what else do we need to bring up?
We've
That
had.
we were talking about.
We talked about the new sponsor MDT and some of the other sponsors. that
I
we-
have one more thing.
we
Doug
can-
can bring us into that.
Yeah, we can talk about Numa here in a little bit too, as well.
Oh,
So why don't we just talk about it now?
we'll just talk about it now.
No.
Let's talk about it
Okay.
now.
So
Let her rip.
we just did the affiliation with Numa, so we are finally official.
We are officially sponsored by Numa Hunting Gear or
Yeah.
Numa
Outdoors.
Numa Outdoors.
which is a hunting clothing.
Yeah, which is spelled PNUMA.
Panuma.
Panuma.
So let's back
which
up
James
a little
called
bit here.
it that for the longest time.
So we're gonna call this. Yeah, I do. Panuma.
Panuma.
Let's back this up to the beginning with Numa. So I'm not even exactly sure how this came about in the very beginning, like how we got hooked up.
I have no idea.
But I remember seeing their gear, and I was like, you know, it was very intriguing because I saw something about a lifetime warranty on their clothing, and I was like, what? I'm like, no way.
What?
You
No
can't
way.
have a lifetime warranty on clothing.
Yeah,
you can't, right?
You can't. No way.
And so I looked it up, and sure as shit, I'm looking through. Like, granted, there is some stipulation, like if you throw it in the fire,
Right.
Yeah.
or like do something really dumb, or like
This done burned up on me.
Yeah.
Self-damage, yeah.
yeah, but like normal wear and tear, like it's a lifetime warranty. So I was looking into their brand, and then I thought, you know, I'm just gonna reach out to them and see what's what, you know. So we got hooked up, and I was talking to the gal about their product, and it sounded really interesting. And, you know, I was like, well, what do you know, like, what would you compare yourself to? And they're like, well, we want to be like compared with the top brands like KIU and, you know, obviously
Sitka.
better than Sitka. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, everyone's better than Sitka, but
Hey-o.
hey, what are you, gay?
Yo, 1-2 punch.
But I was like, you know, like it caught my attention. I'm like, you guys think you're as good as KIU, which is very nice gear.
Which I'm running right now. Like I run Cabela's for warm weather and Kuiu for everything else.
Yeah. So we got to talking, and she was like, well, we'll send you some stuff, right? And you guys can try it out. And I was like, well, I'm not going to commit to any sort of partnership with you guys until we run your gear for a certain amount of time and we're happy with it.
Test it and put it
Because
into the field.
you know, we've talked about this, all of us, about how important it is to us to only work with brands that we want to work with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We don't want
to represent something that we're like not happy
Right.
with.
Just because you have some stuff to give us for free, or you have, you know, like you want to give us
we don't
money
wanna
or whatever.
we're not going to put our
We're
name
not
on
going to
it.
do that unless we want to work with you. So,
Right.
I mean, let's be honest. We all make enough money to where we're not poor and we can afford to buy gear.
We
if
can
need
buy
to.
stuff, so it's not like we're gonna just be like, oh yeah, give us some of your stuff and we'll wear
Right.
it. You know,
I'm a little poor. You know.
Yeah. Well, after spending all this money on a bear hunt.
Or you didn't shoot a bear.
So anyways, so she sent us some gear, and we tried it out for quite a few hunts, and it's been over a year, and we've beat the piss out of their gear. And I was like, you know what? Like, we're all pretty happy with it.
Their what was their
The merino wool.
Yeah, the merino wool.
The Gunderson merino wool hoodie.
Yeah.
It's an underlayer.
I wore
legit.
that, dude.
Really legit. You'll see it in our spring bear film that's coming up.
So that's what I wore. That's what I wore for the 3 days that I just went and hunted over there, and dude, it's so nice.
What's incredible about that is it doesn't smell after wearing it for days and days and
That's
days.
nuts.
Isn't that weird?
It's super weird because I sweat a lot, like a lot. Like, so I was telling you guys earlier, like the first time I used a self-climbing tree stand, dude, number one, I don't like heights. Number two, I went like 25 feet in a tree, which is a lot of work, you know, with my backpack and everything else and the gear and the tree stand, you know, we're well over 300 pounds. So I'm like, here we go. It's okay. I'm not freaking out, you know?
Yeah.
Like Bill Murray always said, like you do your best work when you're most relaxed, right?
Yeah.
I was not relaxed.
Yeah, like
Not even-
every time you're putting stress on the metal, you're
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, every muscle in my body is tense. I'm just leaking, pouring sweat. And I got up when I finally got in the stand. I thought, "Holy shit, I'm gonna smell so bad." And
You didn't.
No.
It's that merino wool. And also they have almost all of their clothing has this weird scent technology.
oh, like scent crusher or something
Yeah,
like that,
it
or
eliminates scent. And so you were running the Gunderson hoodie, which is incredible, by the way. It's probably one of, after seeing you wear it, it looks good, it fits good, and it's the same as the one that I have, which is the merino wool pullover, but yours has the hood.
I like
right?
the hood. I'm a hood
and
guy.
The hood's,
yeah.
and it's a form-fitting hood. It's got the thumb holes. I mean, it's like legit. Like as far as like an underlayer goes, it's expensive. It's very expensive. I think it's like $200
Yeah.
for that merino wool hoodie, but it's worth it, like 100%. And it comes with a lifetime warranty. And I have one of their
for
puffy
a clothing company. You're not gonna find that.
Yeah,
That's
I've been
crazy,
rocking
yeah.
their puffy jacket for a long time now and taking that on a bunch of hunts. It's really good. Doug's rocked their
I have one of their coat.
It's like a raincoat, right?
Yeah, it's their. It's definitely one of their rain jackets. It has some insulation to it, which is really nice for this state because you can layer underneath it.
Well, and it's
quiet too.
It's
a
good
quiet,
stuff. Like it's quality.
it's a quiet raincoat.
What was the heavy stuff we were just talking about? You and I are getting.
That's
Doug?
their new line that they just came out
Yeah,
with.
the Torrent.
The Torrent
series.
line.
Yeah.
I'm super stoked.
So they made a cold weather, all weather bibs. Was it bibs? And
Yeah,
a
Doug-
jacket?
Doug and I
made
get the bibs.
pants, and a coat, and
Yeah.
I was super excited that they came out with bibs because I'm a huge fan of the bibs for the cold weather.
Yeah.
Because no matter what you do when you sit down, having that extra protection and warmth going up your back is super key.
Yeah.
It's always like my pants come down, and then I
Yeah,
get
and
snow
then
in
your
my
ass
butt
cracks hold out. Yeah. Then you
Yeah.
have a cold butt.
Yeah.
No, it's never fun.
Yeah, so
You're already freezing your ass off already. It's like you don't want to do it anymore.
we're going to Montana, so I'm excited to try that out.
Yeah.
You know, and
So we're gonna
see-
get our hands on that.
Yeah,
That's brand new. Like
That's
it just
brand
came
new.
out
It
like
just
2 days
came
ago.
out. Yeah.
and we'll report back.
Yeah.
I know Cable from Lone Star Outdoor Show.
Mm-hmm.
He was rocking that stuff, and he had good things to say about
Dude,
it.
they're legit.
Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about the stuff that we got.
We've rocked some other brands that are not so cool, that are not very high quality. This brand I'm really excited about because they're fairly new, but you can tell they're putting a lot of money into the like innovating new products that are
Yeah.
like built for hunters.
I'm curious to see how it goes. So like the Kuiu stuff is really good early season. Like it's not warm weather gear. And they go, well, you just got a layer. And I got every piece of clothing. Next thing you know, you're the State Puff Marshallman, and you're still not warm, right?
Right.
And so like I run a Cabela's Wooltimate, right? And that's good for Montana, but it's hot. You know, like
And it's heavy.
it's hot and it's heavy, yeah. So it'd be nice if you had a company that kind of bridges the gap and it's got warm weather.
It's hard to
cold
find
weather.
that medium of like
Yeah.
how many layers do you need? How
Yeah.
thick of
Well, you don't want to
layers.
have a bunch of layers. Like
Yeah.
you want to have
Yeah.
maybe 3
Well, the
I
nice
feel
thing
like
would be,
I feel like 3 is like your max because
in
although
the coldest weather.
because especially if you're shooting archery, it becomes hard because you have to have that full range of motion.
well, certain
that's a
things
big
too.
thing.
Like you could just got to have warmer weather stuff. Like I don't want 10 layers on.
Yeah.
I'm never taking layers off in Montana ever. When there's 2 feet of snow, I don't give a shit who you are or how much you hike. You're not taking a layer off while you're hiking up in 2 feet of snow. You're just not going to do it, right? Because if your outer layer is your most protective layer, like your rain gear or something, you take it off, you're going to get soaking wet, right? So you got to take your rain pants off and take your middle layer off and do this and do that. So I like the idea of like the Torrent series. I feel like, I could hike in that through snow and still be okay, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you hike enough, you're still going to get hot. It doesn't matter, right? Depending on where it's at. But I'm excited to try it out. I feel like it'd be a good.
Well, I've been super happy with their underlayers are legit.
Yeah.
Like really legit.
20 years of beating the shit out of myself in
And-
the snow in Montana. I'm ready for something new.
Even like on the table right there, that's one of their bino harnesses, Numas,
Oh yeah,
and their bino harnesses are nice, really nice.
yeah, they are. They're
The
super
nicest
nice.
one I've probably ran.
Yeah, they're super nice.
They fit really good to your chest. They kind of suck down onto your chest, so there's not like a lot hanging off. It like feels firm to you. But the clothing is really exciting.
Doug and I were just talking about they have a heated series, right? So battery powered heated series.
It's heated core.
Yeah.
So it's 2 companies, Numa and Heated Core. That they're, I think technically maybe they're 2 separate companies, but they're one and the same.
Okay.
The Icon heated core
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
So they have a bunch of heated stuff. Yeah.
So my wife has like heated clothing for like the kiddos' games and stuff like that, right? So I'm gonna get the hand warmer and the shirt and run that and see. The idea of having a hand warmer,
I think the hand
Yeah.
warmer is just like a sock, like insulated
Yeah.
thing that you put your hands
Yeah.
in.
It looks like a
It's like what
a fanny pack, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that would be pretty
I'm
cool.
getting one of those too.
It's pretty exciting.
Well, when you're out hunting around, if you don't like wearing gloves all the time,
Yeah.
which I don't,
I
at
hate
all.
gloves and your pockets in your coat and your.
They never are
They're
enough.
never enough.
But they
Not
get-
when it's really cold.
And they get wet,
Especially
and
when you're
cold.
sitting there. You
Yeah.
know, when you're sitting in a spot,
Yeah.
you always want to put your hands somewhere
I
so
like-
they're warm.
That's exactly right. I like the idea if you're sitting, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we're on some farm over east, allegedly. I don't know,
In
Doug.
Indiana, maybe.
Allegedly. And then our fingers get cold and we don't want to wear gloves because we
Yeah.
got to run our gun and we just, you know,
Yeah.
in Indiana, allegedly.
Allegedly.
So for anyone who's interested in Numa, we have a discount code
Oh,
that is a pretty significant discount. It's 20% off of anything on Numa.
their website.
That is
and
pretty good.
And heated core, I believe.
yeah.
That will get you 20% off, and it is BCO20, and that'll get you 20% off.
Do we have a link tree on our deal?
We do, and that I think it's also on there as well.
Okay.
On Instagram.
Because we have a code for Caribou Gear and
Mm-hmm.
we have a code for American Rifle Co.
And all of those are on the link tree on Instagram.
And some pretty solid discounts there.
Yeah.
20% is a pretty good discount. No
Yeah.
matter
That's a
where you go.
really good discount for
Yeah.
gear, especially even off of their brand new stuff, their brand new line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, $1 off is a good
and
deal, you know, like,
that's one thing we didn't hit on. Is like their price point for their stuff is like, it's not the bottom of the barrel for pricing,
Yeah.
and it's not KIU pricing. It's kind of right there in the middle. So it's high end gear. I'd say it's comparable to KIU, but the price point is better,
I'm excited
For
to
sure.
run it. Yeah.
and it comes with a lifetime warranty.
I just like running new gear. You know, like I said, I've run a bunch of different brands over the years. I mean, shit, I started with Walmart,
I
friggin'
think we all started.
We
there.
all
Camo,
started with the Walmart. Or
Wranglers
actually,
and-
no. Let's rewind. Kmart. I started with Kmart.
Kmart.
No, I
yeah.
started with Walmart. Yeah, yeah, I wasn't. I
I definitely had the Kmart stuff.
don't think
No
I-
doubt about it.
I think me and Doug may have started just slightly before you when
You did.
Kmart was super.
You did.
Like they were the place to get hunting clothes
I
around
was
the
a-
old Marysville stomping grounds
I was a
area.
late bloomer, dude. I was a late bloomer for sure.
I was getting stuff from that Kmart until it closed.
Me too.
Were ya?
I went there for their
Oh, yeah.
closing sale. It was like a clearance, and everything was like
I remember
100% off.
So-
Almost, it was like
so-
$1.
So for work, I wear just like their generic Wrangler jeans that you could get.
Right.
Well, at Kmart, you could get them for like $5. And that was my work pants, you know,
Nice.
because I trashed the shit out of them.
So you bought 40 years worth of pants.
Oh yeah, so you just buy a shit
Dude, I
of
did-
work.
I did the
They
same thing.
don't last, but
They're $5.
they're
so-
$5, you
Yeah,
know.
who
So you
cares?
take what you can get. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're gonna trash them anyways.
That's awesome.
Yeah, rest in peace, Kmart.
Yeah.
And
was good times.
Jerry's surplus, rest in
Oh,
peace.
Jerry's
Northern,
surplus.
Northern Sales, rest in peace. All those great businesses that had
They
hunting gear.
were. They really. I mean, Jerry's was such a good store. I miss
Jerry's
that
was
store.
great. Northern Sales was really good. I love the Northern Sales.
There's still a few good ones out
And
there.
now it's just a bunch of crackheads. Buy a Tractor Supply.
Good old
or they're trying to sell you something at a gas station.
That's right.
Coastal Farm and Ranch went into Kmart though, and I'm a big fan of Coastal.
Dude,
so.
Coastal is legit.
Coastal's legit.
I love, and you know what I like more than Coastal?
Hmm.
North 40.
Oh, I know you. I
Dude,
know you
North
love a
I
North
was gonna
40.
say, I was like, what else is out there?
You're
Yeah,
like,
I'm
what's better than Coastal?
Yeah.
North 40.
North 40.
You know, if there was one local, maybe I'd be a bigger North 40 fan. But man, I love me some Coastal.
We should reach out to North 40. They started following us on Instagram randomly, and they're huge.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm just like, there's some random guy that's running their Instagram for North 40 and just like, I like these people, and started following us.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I remember the one in when we stopped in Montana. You're like, you ever been to North 40? I was like, no. We stopped in. I was like, oh, it's like a kind of like a Coastal Farm and Ranch.
Yeah.
I'm like, it gives you good. Like you walk in, you're like, man, I could get a stove. I could
Yeah.
Well, you
get a
know-
pair of
well,
boots.
you
I
know
get a
there's
rifle and a
well,
cooler.
You know, there's a huge one in Omac.
Yeah.
Is it really?
I stop there all the time. Yeah.
Really?
Drive right by it.
Yeah. Best one there is as far
Every
as I'm
time
concerned.
we go to the cabin, there's one right there.
Really? Well,
That's the big dog.
looks like you and I are stopping.
Spending some dollars.
Another joke.
Well, what do you think, Doug? Should we wrap this one up?
Yeah, I think we should. Is there anything we want to finish off
Oh,
with talking
yes.
about?
Hold on one second. We had a couple questions.
You better do your Instagram questions.
So
before we
I did.
forget.
I forgot. I'm so terrible about this.
And before James gets into those Instagram questions, I'm just gonna Stephen Ranella this real quick and say, hey, go to our Instagram pages if you're on the YouTubes and look at the trees of links. And it's pretty cool that some of these companies we're getting tied up with would go out, I think, on a limb and deal with guys, as
like us,
as ragged on the edges as us, right? Because we're not the polished, we're not the Randy Dubers,
yeah.
we're
And
not.
social media definitely does not like us. So.
No, and we're
If you're out there, please just share and
Yeah.
like and comment and just do whatever you can.
It's so dumb that you got to ask people to do that, but it really does help.
well,
Like,
we're fighting against it all the time.
yeah, the more, dude,
yeah,
my
our stuff doesn't reach anybody other than
No.
the followers we have.
No.
So.
And it doesn't even do that anymore because we're always banned.
dude,
So,
I've been
and it's gonna be even worse when we do the gun series.
Yeah.
I've been banned. So obviously owning a gun shop, but like the Cantrell Outdoors page has been at like 1,700 for like a million years.
Yeah.
Like 1,700. That's it.
we've been stuck at I don't know, less than 9,000 for a long time because it's just we don't reach anyone else.
And I
It
feel
doesn't
like
allow us to.
if we would have got in at the beginning, we would have like
A bazillion.
50,000, 100,000 easy, right?
Yeah.
A lot
But
of people don't understand that. Like a lot of these big influencer names, hunting guys,
yeah,
they didn't build that recently. They've been at the same number for the last 5, 6, 7 years.
yeah.
Because they were in before Instagram started
Yeah.
shutting everything down and hating on hunters and guns and
But-
knives and all that.
Go to the link trees, Bear
Political.
Country.
Yeah.
Support those who support us. That's the biggest thing. That's
Yep.
that's my message. Like,
Yeah, we're working with a lot of awesome companies that are going out on a limb for us,
yeah,
and we want to do the exact same. We're not doing it for ourselves.
MDT, Timney, Benchmark Barrels, American Rifle
Loopold.
Co., Loopold,
Montana Knife Company,
Montana Knife Company,
Caribou Gear Game Bags,
Caribou. Yeah, I mean, Sportsman's Alliance. A lot of these guys that we're partnered with are really doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and we got to make sure that we support. Like I said, we got to support those who support us. Don't be a shit stain.
Yep. And quit going at the influencers on the hunting stuff.
Yeah.
Who cares? Go after the anti-hunters.
Yeah, Stephen Rillinell,
Yeah.
not famous.
Fight
brother.
the
So-
same fight.
We don't have a lot of time, so we're just going to do one question. So this question comes from Stan619. I'm not sure who that is. I'll have to look and see.
What up, Stan?
What up, Stan? He says, would you ever hunt black bear in California?
100% black bear pursuit. If you're listening,
Yeah. I think he's kind of hinted towards like, hey, you guys should come down and do this. And I think he wants us to take him on a Washington hunt. So maybe we will.
We
I would
love
100%.
to.
They got some big bears in California. I
Yeah.
think that California is probably one of the most underrated states for bears.
dude, they have so many bears. Did you see? So
Dude, so
I don't
many
remember the
bears.
guy's
a
name.
lot of bears.
Black bear pursuit. Seth, is that
Yeah,
his name?
Seth Watts.
Dude, he posts the best freaking bear content all the time of these huge bears and the stomp trails, and he's just running, and he's like me, he's just a big husky, probably too high of a BMI kind of guy, and he's out there just doing it. Seth, I know you're just doing it great.
Yep.
And I feel like he put something out, it was like 60 some odd thousand bears, and I'm like, holy shit,
I think that's on the lower side too.
that's
what they're
so many
estimating.
bears.
It has to be. There's no way they can get an accurate number.
Yeah, I think that's like a conservative number, 60 something.
Yeah.
But
But-
that's insane.
But he posts some smasher bears.
And California ain't thick like it is here.
No. And his rub tree videos, dude.
Oh yeah, so some big bears. Lots of color face. He always
Dude.
he always bitches about how we always get jet blacks. He's like, I've never shot a jet black. Like
We're like,
I
we're
think-
so sick of them.
yeah,
There's
we're
so
like
much-
that's all we get is jet
there's
black.
so
I got a
much-
dozen
there's so
of them
much sun
in my
up here.
downstairs right now.
Yeah, but all the bears they get down there are they're like cinnamons and chocolates and
Yeah,
and the red
blondes
bears,
and like mixed weird colors, and they're
all the sunbathing bears.
they get a lot of sun.
Seth Wolfswapskis,
Yeah, one of these
We
years.
definitely want. Yeah,
trade skis. Yeah,
we're definitely gonna get all over eventually.
I mean we were supposed to hunt in Montana. We got sidetracked with work.
Mm-hmm.
We hunted Washington spring bear, which doesn't even exist because we paid to play.
Yep.
I'm hunting Southeast Alaska
Mm-hmm.
for black bear, and then potentially we could still do Idaho and Montana.
Mm-hmm.
Technically,
I think I'm for sure gonna probably try to do Idaho and Washington fall bear this year,
yeah.
and maybe Montana even.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, maybe me and Colton will get on some fall bear. You heard it, Colton.
Love me
Let's
some
do it.
Yeah.
How's my mount coming, by the way?
After you burned them on the
Oh, he
spring
doesn't
hike.
care. Colton's a good dude. Colton's a good dude. He
knew
understands.
what was up.
Yep.
We were chasing the monster legendary bear in the Quinault.
Mhm.
Couldn't leave.
I wanted him bad.
It's too much going on with work, and
Yeah.
you always have a great plan until
Can
everything
only
falls
be-
apart.
You can only be in one spot at one time.
That's right. That's the joys of being a small business owner. Hey, guess what? Sometimes you have to do everything yourself.
And with that, Doug, bring us home.
Yep.
Well, thank you again for everybody that follows along with this fun podcast that we got going on. It definitely sure is a pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
And until next time, guys, stay humble and hunt hard.